The VOC itself ruled the waves for about 200 years. It completely put into the shadows any other business enterprises by nations during this time period. We're talking 1600s and the 1700s. For instance, the English East India Company didn't even have a third of the exports and money coming in that the Dutch East India Company had. Is well regarded as one of the most profitable, the most successful businesses of all time. It's often sort of compared to Apple in a modern sense, except that instead of selling iPods and iPads and phones, you imagine they're selling black pepper. Everyone's going to need this. And so not only was it a business venture, but it also explored much of the known world. Australia, for instance, was first really discovered by the VOC trading ships. Credit often in the English-speaking world goes to Captain Cook from Britain, but actually about 3/4 of Australia was found by the Dutch. One of them, the captains, Abel Tasman, named the little island off the southeastern coast of Australia as Van Diemen's Land. Diemen, a city here in the Netherlands. It was only renamed centuries later by the English as after that fateful captain, Tasman, as Tasmania. Another one of the islands that they uncovered, they named after one of the provinces of the Netherlands. Just south of Holland, we have Zeeland, or what we now come up with as New Zealand, discovered by the Dutch. Another one of the trading companies, alongside the VOC, a sister company essentially, was found as the West Indies Company. And this dealt in the very lucrative sugar trade in the Caribbean and northern coast of South America. And so that's why you've got countries like Suriname, Aruba, Saint Martin as Dutch possessions, either have been or still are to this day. Another rather more fleeting Dutch colony was arguably the most famous of them all. This was on the eastern coast of what is now the United States. There's the famous anecdote of the Dutch sailing into what is now the East River at New York and buying the island of Manhattan from the local natives for a bunch of beads. Now, whether that story is true or not, the Dutch certainly were the first to get to what is the nexus of the modern world today, known as New York. And many of the names in the New York area are of very obvious Dutch origin. Brooklyn was originally Brooklyn from the Dutch. Yonkers was a Dutch name. Harlem, of course, a Dutch name. Things like Wall Street and Broad Street were originally named after the Dutch. And even centuries later, even around the American Revolutionary period in New York, they still had to find Dutch speakers to be able to go back into the archives and read up on Dutch original city bylaws. And so it was only after about 40 years of Dutch government in what was then known as New Amsterdam that in a series of wars with the English in the latter part of the 1600s, they took over that bit of land and renamed it New York, and the rest is history.